Fuck! Fuck! Fuck!
Oh, you stupid motherfucker!
You're gonna find me dead! I'm gonna kill myself!
Hit the fucking guy! What the fuck is he doing?
I'm gonna be hanging from the bathroom!
They got their leg!
Don't ask me to do nothing! This is nothing!
It's time to welcome to the show the 84th selection in the 2024 NFL Draft. A Michigan man coming off of a national championship season and the newest weapon for the Pittsburgh Steelers, number 10, Roman Wilson. What up, Rome? Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Hey, appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely, brother. Appreciate you taking the time out. So are you in Pittsburgh now? You finally made the move over?
Nah, I'm still in Ann Arbor. I'm leaving in 2 days, so I'm just getting my house ready, still working out, just getting ready for minicamp.
When does minicamp start for you guys?
All they told me is I gotta show up on the 9th, so I don't know when the first practice is. I'm hoping the 9th, but I have no clue.
I think it is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Is it? I think. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Could be. Hey, you could be right.
Yeah, it might be. It might be. Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Roman, have you met with Arthur Smith yet?
Yeah, I've met him or met with him. Yeah.
Well, what do you think about that? Have they mentioned to you? Obviously, a lot of talk in Steelers Nation is that they need to take one more receiver for the outside if they move Roman, obviously, into the slot. Have they consulted with you about any of that? Are you looking at playing into the slot, or have they talked to you about playing outside at all?
Yeah, I talked to both the receiver coach, Coach Z, and Coach Smith. They kind of see me playing both a little bit. I'm kind of learning Z and F right now. Just they're trying to figure out ways to kind of give me the ball early on in rookie minicamp and kind of see what I got. So I'm open to playing outside and inside. I love playing inside. And I love playing outside. So I don't really care too much.
What was it like on on draft night for you?
Yeah.
Did you expect to go sooner than you did? Did you expect to go later than what you did? Like, what was the expectation for you on draft night? Or like, hey, I really didn't care. I just wanted to get drafted.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna go a lot earlier, and watching a lot of other receivers like get picked, it kind of like pissed me off a lot. So I was pretty just frustrated. But once they came and got me at like pick 84, I was very excited, very blessed to just have that opportunity, and very thankful for the Steelers for just picking me and having faith in me, and I'm gonna give them everything I got because I'm grateful for that now.
Yeah, I think a part of another reason I think the Steelers selected you too was because like you kind of do both. Like you're physical, you block really well. Arthur Smith's offense, like he wants blocking receivers. You do that extremely well. Great route runner, great hand. So I was happy with the pick. I know Kevin was begging for them to take you earlier than what you got
Yeah.
taken to the Steelers. But dude, so happy to have you in the Berg. Super excited, man. Have you reached out to any teammates or any teammates reached out to you yet?
Yeah, TJ Watt reached out to me. He was the first one to text me once I got drafted. Nick Herbig, I went to high school with him. He obviously texted me. Fields and Russ been reaching out, so it's been good.
I'm a Penn State grad, so obviously you fucking torched us. I think it was your sophomore season. You had 3 catches, 2 touchdowns. So I'm familiar with Roman Wilson's game. So when we're looking at wide receiver in the second round, third round, I think were you 14th? You were the 14th wide receiver taken?
Yeah, something crazy. I think that's crazy to me, but
that's what I'm telling Jerry. I'm like, Jerry, there's just no way he's the 14th receiver in that class. Like,
it's all good though. It's all good.
I mean, there's a chip on your shoulder. So I feel like you, especially. Sure. All the noise that surrounded Michigan last year, you were one of the vocal leaders on the team. Like you were not afraid to fan the fire and speak up for what you believed in and rallying the team. And I feel like Tomlin says a lot. He says shit like, we want guys that run towards the challenge and not away from it. And when I'm telling Jerry, I'm like, Jerry, Roman would fit what we do so well just because of how physical you are. You remind me of, are you familiar with Hines Ward's game? Like that's what, obviously not nearly as fast as you are. It doesn't have some of the physical talents that you had, but the ability to put your face in the fire and fucking block, that has to be something you pride yourself on, even though you might not be the biggest receiver, but you're not afraid to bang.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's some dudes in the league now, and I'm not gonna shy down from that. I mean, you win some, you lose some, but I feel like as a receiver, especially as like a not the biggest guy. As long as you go in and you get in the way, even if you get knocked down, bro, it's still good. But for me, like going in there and blocking someone, like knocking their ass on the ground, bro, like that's one of the best feelings you can have at like any position. Like it's such a good feeling.
I'm excited for you to, play with George too, because George Pickens is a
Oh
big
yeah.
blocker. He's a
Oh yeah.
physical
Yeah.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
So that'd
Yeah,
be a scary scary duo there as far as at least blocking is concerned.
yeah.
Nevertheless, like the receiving abilities that you guys have. On before I want to talk about was there ever a point during the draft process where like any teams said to you like, "Hey, if you're here, we're taking you," or is that like all smoke and mirrors?
I mean, it's a little smoke and mirrors. There was a lot of teams who said like we're gonna come and get you, and then it kind of didn't really happen. But the position I was in, a lot of the teams that wanted me would have to trade up and come and get me.
Yeah.
And I thought the Steelers were gonna get me at 51, but they had a guy they really wanted on their board still in that pick. And I don't blame 'em for taking that guy. I mean, we need a line. That's the heart and soul of every team. And I'm just happy I get to be a part of a team like that who prides himself on an O-line first and protecting their quarterback. And, that's the team I want to be a part of. I want my quarterback to be protected and have time. So, I love that.
Roman, had you met with Tomlin leading up to the draft? Like, had you formally met with him and sat down?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like informally. I met him a lot of times. I saw him at the Senior Bowl, like during meetings, and I kind of ran into him. And then we talked a lot during practices and things like that. So, I don't really feel like even from their side, I don't feel like they needed like a formal meeting
Right.
because Coach Tomlin's very laid back, very chill. Like I think he kind of sees past all that like formal meeting and things like that.
Yeah, you excited? Obviously, you played for a legendary coach in Harbaugh. Playing for being able to come in and play with now the longest tenured coach in the NFL. That has to be something that excites you. A lot of guys. Everything Jerry and I have interviewed a lot of players at this point for the Steelers. They all say Mike Tomlin is their favorite coach they've ever played for. That
Oh
he
yeah.
strikes you as the type of guy that you can get up for.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. I mean, he's a great coach, and I mean, he's one of those coaches who are looking to coach. Like, I can't wait to be at practice and having him giving me some tips or something like that, or just picking his brain and film. Like, I can't wait to learn from that guy. Like, he's unbelievable. Great dude.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that the Herbigs. There's a
Yeah.
couple other guys that are the Steelers are forming a little Pacific Islands football team
Oh
now.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they have some dogs now. I know you had you do you know Fajoko? You know Braden Fajoko?
I don't think so. I heard the name, but I don't think I met him yet.
Yeah, so he's a defensive lineman. You're looking at both Nick and Nate Herbig, Isaac
Yeah.
Samalo. You know Isaac?
Yep.
Yeah, he's another one of them. Jalen Warren's mother, I'm pretty sure, is Samoan, but Troy
Yeah.
Fontenot. So obviously, you get to talk a little shit to him.
Yeah.
That's a guy that you end up beating in the national championship. Do you have any relationship with Troy at all, or is this kind of just now that you're both Steelers?
I've never met him before. I've heard about him. I know we've got a lot of mutual friends, so I kind of know about his background a little bit. But from what I can see, like, bro, he's a dog and he's a
Yeah.
great dude. Like, I can't wait to like be around guys like that on my team.
So
Is there any like current players in the NFL like you would model your game after?
Yeah, I mean, I watched a lot of Tyler Lockett and Hunter Renfro like this last season, and right now I just kind of watch especially right now, I watch a lot of Puka Nakul. I just feel like a guy who came in his first year. I kind of want to emulate that. I think he's a phenomenal player, phenomenal athlete.
yeah.
Runs great routes and very physical. I really love watching his film.
So what are you focused on most now leaning from? Obviously, we have mini camps and OTAs and shit like that, but before training camp, what are you most trying to improve your game around?
Right now, just keep working on my route running. Keep working on tracking the ball, catching it well, getting in and out of my breaks, kind of trying to emulate sitting in the zone, like things like that. Just really just my route running, because in the NFL, it's a whole different league, and I just want to separate myself from people.
I'm excited to see Kev. I'm excited to see the I don't know if Porter will be on you much, but I know he follows, and I'm sure he'll go against you in camp, here and there. But I'm excited to see that matchup, and
Yeah.
me and Kev will be there at camp, and I think that'll be a really excited one. We had last year, we had Pickens versus Porter, and now it got physical, and it was tough, and it was great. But he's a great corner, and I'm sure, receivers could learn just as much from a cornerback as other receivers. Is that true?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can ask a DB. You can tell a lot about what a receiver's doing just by his stance on the line of scrimmage and kind of his intentions on his release. I mean, there's a lot of indicators that you can see that a DB can pick out from a certain guy.
Roman, growing up, who was your football team growing up?
I watched a lot of Panthers. I was a big Cam Newton guy. I love watching the Panthers, like him, Ted Ginn, D Funch. Like those are my guys, and I just wish they got that Super Bowl. But yeah, man, it is what it is.
Who are you most excited to play? Like, is there one team on the calendar you're most excited to get up for?
Yeah, definitely Chargers. That's my team right there. Yeah, so I'm waiting for that one.
Jared, what else you got?
No, I wanted to also, were you super happy that you were able to get number 10?
I want to say I was like super happy, but I mean it's a good number.
I feel like
it.
it's like iconic for like a smaller slot receiver like 10. I don't know. I like the number.
I feel like it fits good like in the Steelers too. I figure it looks good. Yeah.
Did you try for one? Did you try for one?
They don't give out one. I don't think
I know.
I didn't even ask because I knew if Pickens wasn't getting one, like I wasn't getting it, so I didn't even ask. But
that's what I'm saying. It was like the closest thing you could have got,
Yeah. So is that guy? He was like that, the kicker.
No, he wasn't. Like that's the thing that's the most fucked up for Steelers fans. Like he wasn't even like a lifetime Steeler. Like he played for other teams, and so I think that's what pisses me off the most is that there have been some dogs that have wanted one since then, and they save it for a fucking kicker that's not even a lifetime Steeler. Like I think that's the dumbest. That's one of those old school Steelers are like they're very set in their ways, like, and I'm sure you know that, like, they are traditional football, but no, that guy does not, for whatever reason, they basically, like, quietly retired the one, but there are some other guys where I feel like, hypothetically, you had a great first 4 years of your career and you want to switch numbers, I'm sure that there could be some conversations had around.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like for me, too, like, one, that's a special number, and, like, I would love to wear it, but I feel like it would mean more if I got the opportunity to earn it. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
And I think that's what it would take for them would be, you having the ability to prove that you're worthy of doing something that they don't normally do.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. So
I think it's so crazy. Like to Kev's point, like, dude, this guy wasn't even like a perennial kicker or something like that. Like,
right.
It's just great. And I thought for sure George was going to get it because that's what he wanted. And once he didn't get it, I was like, all right, well, nobody's ever going to get this number.
maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day.
We'll change it.
Rom, how's your size? You feel like you have to put on any weight to play in the NFL, or you feel like you're good with where you're at right now?
No, I'm like 190, 192. I would like to be like 188, but I don't really see the size being a big deal.
So when I look up your stuff, it says anywhere. So you might be 6 foot tall, you might be 5'10". Like there are
it's crazy.
50 different numbers I find on the internet. So like where do you fall at as far as the height is concerned?
Shit, I'm saying 6 feet. Nah, but I'm like 5'11", 3/4 and a half, bro. Like crazy. I'm not no 5'9", like 5'10" is crazy too.
Yeah, that's what it says, 5'10". I'm like, he's bigger than 5'10".
Yeah, I'm a little bigger than that, but hey, that shit doesn't even matter to me, honestly.
Right. Yeah, I feel like in today's NFL, like, I think route running is such a big thing in today's NFL. Like, if you could run really good routes, you can get separation. Like, you don't need a 6'3" receiver.
No way
on the football team, on your roster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you can get separation, you can get away from and use the middle of the field. Like, you should be just fine. Doesn't matter how tall you are.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like if you just get off press and then you can separate the top of the route, like you're good.
I feel like that's what Michigan did really well with you, especially last year. They would motion you, into the slot, out of the slot, but you had so many free releases at the line.
Yeah.
A guy with your speed, I think was it 4.39? Is that what your 40 was?
Yeah.
That type of speed, the Steelers have sorely lacked across the middle of the field, especially. And so to have that kind of game breaking speed is something. So when I'm telling Jerry, yeah, I want to fucking draft Roman Wilson because he's the kind of guy that can take the top off of the middle of the defense. George has good speed outside, no issues there. I know they signed Quez Watkins and Van Jefferson, but to have someone like Roman Wilson who can destroy the middle of the field, you made a living out of the middle of the field at Michigan. Is that something you feel like translates to the NFL?
Yeah, definitely. We run a lot of like deep crosses and over routes in Michigan, and you watch a lot of the league. That's kind of how the league is right now. It's like a lot of deep shots, a lot of crossers, and a lot of quick game. Like, so I mean, I'm gonna fit in perfectly. Like, that's my world.
Absolutely.
For sure. I wanted to ask you real quick. I know it's kind of off topic, but JJ McCarthy, what was it like playing with him? Because like I know he got like a lot of flack for getting drafted that high. I always thought he was pretty solid.
Yeah.
He seemed like he had a good head on his shoulders and stuff. How was he being a teammate of yours?
I mean, bro, he's a great dude, phenomenal. Really like a friend. Like, he's just a really good guy to have around. Always working hard. Like, we worked out pretty much every single day. Like this, during this down period before rookie minicamp, and I thought I was working hard, and this guy comes in here. He's throwing every day. He's watching film before we throw. He's watching film after we throw. He's getting the lift in, and then it just never really stops for him. Like, that's the type of guys I want to be around. Someone who like he's seeking to go find work, and I'm just following him because like, I mean, he's just a great guy.
Rum, you have any rookie goals now? Everybody we ask this question to, they're gonna be like, "Nah, man, I just want to win." Like,
Yeah.
save the politically correct answer. Like, everybody has some goals. What are you trying to do this year?
It's kind of funny you say like winning, but like rookie of the year, all that, like those are all great accolades. Like I would love to have, but for me, like I just want to come in, I want to start, and I want to be the reason like we win some of these games. Like I know the Steelers are a great team, and they're gonna do good regardless. But I want to be the reason where like we start getting going. Like I would just love that.
And you're not. You see, another reason I feel like you fit with the Steelers, you're not the selfish type of receiver. Like, not to point fingers at anybody, but obviously you've been around guys, I'm sure, and there are other guys in the league that have selfish tendencies. They're not happy if they're not getting the ball, even if you're winning. You go 17-0. If they're not eating, they're not happy. Coming out of Michigan, where you know that you were more of a run first team, I would say, pretty common as far as what Michigan was last year. You fit what the Steelers do because of that reason. You know you're going to get yours, whether it's 3 catches for 100 yards or 3 catches for 10 yards. If you're contributing, I feel like Roman Wilson is still happy if the end result is a win.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to be like. It's hard to not get the ball. Like I get it, but it's a good feeling to win a game, man. Like winning solves all the problems. I never really like if you have a game with 3 touch, 150 yards, but you guys lose to like to a very good team. Like it just doesn't really hit the same. Like, but if you have 1 tud, 70 yards, and you guys blow a team out, like bro, that's a great feeling to have. Like I don't really know how people can have a great game and lose and then feel good about themselves after.
Yeah.
So that's just not me.
Hell yeah.
You familiar with Pittsburgh at all, Roman? Like, are you familiar with the city? You ever been to Pittsburgh yet?
Not at all. I've been there one time, and that was like 2 weeks ago.
So have you had Permanis yet? Are you familiar with what Permanis is?
What is that? Is it a restaurant?
It is a restaurant. It's a very, you know what yinzers are? You familiar with what a yinzer is? Oh, you're gonna learn some of this stuff. So a yinzer is like native to Pittsburgh, like someone who's
Okay.
like a diehard sports fan. They have a certain type of language to them, but a restaurant that Yinzers enjoy is called Permanis, where they put coleslaw and French fries on their sandwiches.
Okay.
And so when you get here, that's going to be something I'm sure that they push you towards, is trying a Permani sandwich. So that's definitely going to be something I'm being interested to hear how you like that.
I got you. You gonna be down here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Y'all gotta take me.
Oh yeah.
It's a good spot.
Let's go.
We'll
I'm
get
good
you
for
there.
that.
Especially Jerry, I know will come in for training camp this year. So we'll have to show you. We'll have to do an interview at camp this year and meet you in person there. But yeah, where are you staying? You have a place already, or are you staying close to the facility?
We're gonna be in a hotel, so probably close to the facility.
I know a lot of the guys, they stay down right by the facility. Like there's a complex pretty much right outside the facility, so you won't have to travel far. Like the thing about Pittsburgh is similar to Ann Arbor. It's like just a big town. Like it's not, I wouldn't call it even hardly a city. So traveling is going to be great for you as far as that stuff is concerned. But we'll have to get your information. I'll show you around. I live in the North Hills, so it's a good
Yeah,
spot.
for sure.
Jared, what else you got?
That's it, dude. I wanted to thank you, for the time, letting us, interview you, and excited to see you at camp, and excited to watch you play, man. I think you're going to start. I hope you're going to start. We really need another receiver out there, so I hope we get going.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate. Oh, go ahead.
We haven't won a fucking playoff game in years, man. I know you know that. Like, I know this is conversation that you have had and heard. I'm sure it has been mentioned. It's going to take guys like you that fucking turn this franchise around right now and get us back to glory, because I'm begging you, man, we fucking need it. And it takes winners to instill winning culture. So I could not be happier that you're a Pittsburgh Steeler, and I'm wishing you all the best this season.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, we're going to win some games, bro. And it's not just going to be because of me. Like, bro, we got a team full of dogs. Like, you know the people they got. Like, they going to get it going.
This is the most optimistic I've been in years. Like you said, it's the line. The Steelers finally have a bunch of dogs on the line, and that's where football games are won and lost, is at that line of scrimmage. And finally, we have the ability to bully the line of scrimmage. So, I mean, it's going to be a really exciting run for the Steelers coming up here.
Yeah, it'll be good, for sure.
Absolutely. We appreciate it, Rome. We'll talk to you again.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rome.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Steel Here podcast, where I'm your host, Kevin Adams, alongside my partner in crime, Jersey Jerry. Jerry Don, we just wrapped up the draft last week here in Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Steelers went heavy dogs on the line, baby. They're going to try and restore the dominance at the line of scrimmage. You happy about it? You know damn well I'm thrilled about it.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really super happy at first because I wanted, more weapons and whatnot. But come to think of it, it's what was needed. If we're going to be a run-first offense, which it looks like we're going to need a great O-line, which we should have. Oh, yeah. I'll be honest. I just want them to get rid of Dan Moore. I don't want to fuck around with the bullshit. Wait 6 weeks, then you're going to start. It's just bullshit, dude. Like, just get rid of the guy. You drafted a tackle in the first round last year, drafted a tackle in the first round this year. Let him go out and play. What are we still stuck in this, Dan Moore project? The guy is just not great. He's just not. Could he fill in? Maybe, yeah, but like, we just drafted 2 guys that should go on to have great NFL careers.
Yep.
Dan Moore has not had a great NFL career. You replaced him essentially twice now. Yep. There's no reason for him to start the season. I would like for them to trade him. We'll see what happens. I just would hate to see a first-round draft pick get wasted away for another 8 weeks of the season.
No, we're not doing that shit again, man. I'm like, this is the one thing that I really hope. The Steelers have made so many changes this offseason. They've changed the way that they approach free agency. They went out, they chase big names. They get your Patrick Queens. They've done a lot of things that they don't commonly do. I don't want to see them put Troy Fautanu on the bench for, say, 6 weeks is too fucking long, man. You know, they were so excited to be able to take that guy at 20. And so if you're very hyped to get your guy at 20 and then you put him on the bench so that Dan Moore plays the first 6 or 7 weeks until he gets up to speed, I just think that's a major, major issue that the Steelers would still have. Now, do they play him at left tackle or do they bump him to right tackle? Does Broderick come back over to left tackle? Those are some questions we might have. So the only excuse that the Steelers could use would be more so, okay, well, maybe he's just not ready to play right tackle and have Broderick slide back to left tackle. So they'll start the season with what they're familiar with Dan Moore Jr. But I'm with you. If you can trade Dan Moore Jr. at this point, I think you dump him. I don't see the value that guy has.
No, I don't really either. I mean, listen, for a depth, like, what's his reaction going to be when he sits on the bench and it's Fautanu and it's Broderick Jones? Is he going to be a problem? I'd rather just get rid of him, pick up somebody on a minimum deal, and that's it, dude. It just didn't work out. It's clear plan what the Steelers want. He doesn't fit that plan, so there's no need to just keep him around. Try to go get a 6th round pick. Try to go get a 5th round pick. Who knows? I mean, you might be able to get that.
and anything is going to be better than he's gone. And so what's fucking crazy is, though, I was reading an article a couple days ago, and it said he'll be projected, like early projections for left tackles going into 2025 free agency is that Dan Moore Jr. will get a bag. He's going to get paid by somebody. That was my immediate response. I'm like,
What?
Who the fuck is going to, that guy sucks. Like, if you look at all of the actual statistics that rank left tackles, he's in the bottom 5. Like,
Oh yeah,
who's
he's not
paying
good.
that guy?
He's not good. I do think they got a steal with this Payton Wilson guy, man.
Oh, yeah.
This dude is a dog, bro. You know, watching his tape, and you know, I don't watch much college football, but after you know they drafted him, looked him up, and seen a lot of his highlights, he's just incredibly fast, athletic, likes to bang. Pause. No Diddy, no Drizzy, but he likes to bang. And I would say it's between him and Roman Wilson, who I'm most excited for watching play this year.
Oh, without a doubt. I think Peyton Wilson, honestly, Jerry, you combine him with Patrick Queen in the middle of that defense, you're talking about the Steelers might have the fastest middle linebacker position now in the league. Like, Peyton Wilson last year was recorded as running faster than Tyreek Hill. I don't think
Crazy.
people understand that. Yes, I know he had the shoulder surgery. He has no fucking ACL in one of his knees. He hasn't had that in years, though. And so I did a deep dive, some research, and it says that there are many guys who don't have ACLs, and it doesn't affect them at all. As long as all the muscles around that knee are very strong, you know, you can get away with not having an ACL. Hines Ward played a long career with the Steelers, doesn't have an ACL. So it's not as though it's uncommon, but when you're talking about a guy who's running 23, almost 24 miles per hour with no ACLs, and he's over 200 pounds, he's a 6-foot plus linebacker. I mean, the Steelers absolutely, by getting him at the end of the 3rd round, it's a home run, Jerry. That guy could go on to have a massive career beside Patrick Queen, and the Steelers have sorely missed having a dominant player in the middle of that defense ever since Shazier went down.
Yeah.
I couldn't be more excited about what they're going to get out of now the middle of that defense, because, look, you can blitz one of those two guys up the middle. That means you're going to get TJ is going to have, single block on the outside. Highsmith is going to have a single block on the outside. When you have that kind of elite pace at the middle of the defense, it makes everyone else's job easier. I think the Steelers are going to be absolutely dominant on defense this year.
I do too. And another thing, I think the no ACL, I'll spin this. I think it's a good thing. You can't tear it. Essentially, you can't tear your ACL if you don't have an ACL. So I think it works as a good thing.
The logic checks out. You can't tear
sounds
something
crazy,
that doesn't
but
exist.
I mean, essentially, like, hey, at least we only have to worry about him tearing one ACL. That's it. We don't have to worry about the other one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know TJ had a scare last year that towards the end of the year, I thought he was done. I was so nervous. Thank God it wasn't. But
that's why he didn't get to play in that Bills game.
Yeah.
Jerry,
but I think they had a really good draft for the 2nd year in a row. I think Omar Khan is really special, man. I really do. My only problem, and I don't even know if it's a problem anymore after talking to Roman, and he hinted at, like, hey, he's going to be used, both ways, outside, slot. Maybe another receiver is just not in their plan. You know what I mean? Maybe that's just like, hey, we can win this way. We can win with, Pat maybe in the slot, Rome on the outside. Who knows, but maybe they just think they don't need another wide receiver. Now, I obviously, the greedy person I am, I was hoping for Ayuk, you know what I mean? But it seems like that's not going to happen. And now I'm starting to realize, like, hey, maybe it's okay that we don't have another wide receiver.
I don't know. I'm still nervous as fuck about that, not having another outside wide receiver. But when you went through the draft, and you can take Troy Fontenot in the 1st round, and then you can take Zach Frazier, who, Jerry, he's a Pittsburgh Steeler. That guy is going to be our center for the next 10 years. He's hard. I don't know if you saw the clip where he fucking breaks his leg.
Yeah,
and he knows they don't want to burn a timeout, so he's trying to hobble off of the field. Like, guys like that, in that scenario where they know you got to get off the field, you don't want to burn a timeout, and he would rather die than have to have them waste a timeout because he broke his leg. That type of mindset is exactly what you need on that offensive line.
Oh yeah.
Jerry, if the Steelers have positioned themselves to be a ground and pound football team, which we think that's what Arthur Smith is going to be, they're going to run the ball somewhere around 45% of the time, somewhere in that ballpark. I really do think we finally have all the pieces, which is why it's interesting to me that they didn't pick up Najee's 5th-year option.
Yeah, it's like they're like 90% in right now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like they did all the right things. They filled needs where it needed to be filled. With the middle linebacker for sure. We went and got a wide receiver in the draft, but they're missing. I think they should have locked Najee up for another 2-3 years. I know they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, but I still think he deserves a 2-3 year deal. I just don't. And now I love Jaylen Warren, but like, I don't know if he's an every down back. I think they complement each other so well,
Right.
and it's working. And they showed already that it works. Especially towards the end of the year. Najee's it seemed like he was gaining 7 yards. Every single time he touched the ball towards the end of the year, like $7 million. I mean, come on. I mean, the best running back in football. Allegedly, Saquon Barkley, got 13 million? Like,
Right.
I think Najee's worth half that, don't you think? Like, why not just have him going to camp saying, you know what? I got my 5th-year option. I'm getting $7 million. And hopefully I have a good year and we can renegotiate. Now, who knows? Is he angry when he gets to camp? Does he feel like he got betrayed a little bit? Who knows? When the Steelers go try to use him 20 times a game, is he going to be like, dude, this is fucking bullshit. You're wearing me out for no reason.
And I think that's what scares me is how does Najee read? Now, Najee's never been a problem, so I don't want to say that. And I've seen some outlets reporting that, even Mark Kaboli is worried that maybe Naji Harris could be a problem for the Steelers this year, disgruntled. He doesn't strike me as that type of player. However, you got to look at it from his perspective. He's going to go into this season now and know that he's not locked up for next year. And if the Steelers want to run him into the ground, he's not an injury-prone guy, knock on wood. He's not an injury-prone running back, which is another reason I thought you would pick up that 5th-year option at 6'8", just because he's reliable. Now,
he doesn't fumble the ball.
Right. That's wild coming from you and I because we're hard as shit on Naji Harris. Like, I wish he was faster. I do wish he was faster. Do I think he's worth a first-round draft pick? No fucking chance in hell. You don't take running backs in the first round. And the fact that you're not picking up his 5th-year option tells me that they now know that you do not take running backs in the first round. However, with him and Jaylen Warren now going to be behind what I would consider to be a pretty damn good offensive line, all things considered, if it works out the way that we're expecting it to work out. It's wild that you would rebuild the offensive line after 3 years of having a shitty makeshift O-line and you're not going to pick up his 5th-year option. Now, does that signify that maybe they're putting more eggs in the basket of Jaylen Warren, who's going to end up having to get paid the following season? Possibly.
Yeah.
But it still just doesn't make sense that you could have locked him down this year, next year, and then if you want to cut him loose, then you cut him loose. You got 5 years out of a running back. That's honestly about where running back life expectancy is in the NFL. So yeah, I'm honestly, of everything they've done in this offseason so far, they've made some great moves. And they had maybe the best draft in football back-to-back years, which says a lot about Omar Khan. It's just, I'm a little leery, and I'll be lying if I didn't say this, that the wide receiver, the number 2 wide receiver spot is concerning to me. Even though we just talked to Roman, and I do believe he could play some outside wide receiver, he is probably better served in the NFL to play out of the slot. Yeah. And so to not have a wide receiver opposite George Pickens worries me that teams can just double George into fucking oblivion, make him irrelevant.
Yeah.
But to not pick up Najee and to not get a number 2 wide receiver, that's not to say they're not trying. We've heard the Cortland Sutton rumors and the Brandon Ayuk and the Deebo Samuel, and now you're hearing about the Darius Slayton out of the Giants. Like it's not that these things aren't off the table, and I'm sure Omar Khan is still working it, just playing the long game. But those are 2 question marks that I absolutely have going forward.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I even seen some stuff about Treylon Burks on the Titans. I think Tyler Boyd, like a couple minutes ago, just signed with the Titans.
Did he?
Yeah, I think he just actually signed with the Titans. So I don't know, man. Maybe that's another piece to look at. Treylon Burks, you probably can get him kind of cheap. So, I mean, I don't know. I would feel a lot more comfortable if and it doesn't have to be a superstar like Ayuk. You know what I mean? Like, or Devontae Adams or DK Metcalf, which are all bullshit reports. But I would feel a lot better if the Steelers went in there with a pretty good number 2.
Right. And I think, no disrespect to Van Jefferson or Quez Watkins, I just don't know that those guys are bona fide number 2s to the point where defense, in my worry is that defenses just can single those guys and don't have to give a shit about them. And then they can just attack George Pickens. And so if anybody, as we know, is a ticking time bomb, it's GP. And so that's my worry, is if it gets to a point halfway through the season where George is just, because they didn't make the right moves to get in another wide receiver that can take some of the heat off of him, if he is just under the gun, that definitely is a concern of mine.
Oh, for sure, 100%. I mean, like you said, if anybody's going to snap, it's going to be him. You know what I mean? So that's another thing to look at there. But I don't know, man. Like, I'm very listen, I'll be the first one to say it. I'm all in on Russ. I'm all in on Russ. I come to the realization like Russ is the guy, and I'm not going to be told no for an answer. I've been getting told on Twitter, Jerry, please don't do this to yourself. Don't do this to yourself. Russ isn't the guy. He's not what he seems to be. I'm all in on Russ. I love Russ. I think Russ can take us to a different type of level.
I mean, Jerry, look at last year. We had bottom 5 QB play, and we sneak into the fucking playoffs.
Yeah.
10 minutes left in the game. We're down 7 to the Bills on the road in the playoffs without TJ Watt. Okay.
With no defense either. Our inside linebackers were done.
Inside linebackers are cooked. No TJ Watt. You have Pat Pete out there playing cornerback. There were some things to be excited about at the end of last season, but having known that they retold a lot of the weaknesses that we had is why I'm so excited. And
Punter too. Punter is a sneaky good one too.
Punter is massive. How bad has Presley Harvin been?
Oh, he was a fucking cheeseburger away from having a stroke, bro.
Right. So you upgrade that special teams. You sign Cordero Patterson now with the new kickoff rules where, I think if you can get out ahead of it before teams figure out the new structure of the kickoff, Cordero Patterson can light some shit up still. I mean, he took a kick to the house last year. This guy's not a bum. He's not over the hill yet.
And here, we didn't even talk about this. They might be using him at running back as well.
Well, that's another thing. You have no idea. I mean, for the Falcons, he banged a lot of running plays under Arthur Smith's system. So let's not rule that out. But I think that they've really upgraded. You upgrade your special teams at punter. You already have a great field goal kicker in Boswell. You've upgraded your quarterback room, whether that be Russ or Fields. I know, like the Russ thing, he's going to start week 1. Like I would be. 100%.
There's no way. I want it on record. There is no way he doesn't start week 1. No, bearing an injury, knock on wood, he's the starter week 1. Regardless of what anybody, Tomlin, comes out and says, he's the starter week 1.
Agreed. And you and I had this conversation. A lot of what I believe that to be is because no matter what, the Steelers don't want to give up a 4th round pick for Justin Fields when you can get him for a 6th round pick. So if he plays less than half of the snaps or something as far as that's concerned, he's not going to be upgraded to a 4th round pick that has to go to the Bears. So
I'm curious to see if that's starting quarterback snaps.
See, I don't know, but did you see where maybe Jalen Warren hinted that they wanted to use him in kick returns?
Yeah, I think that's not going to happen.
It's bullshit. I think he was kidding. That was a joke.
But I do think if the Steelers are smart, they can definitely use him in Wildcat here and there for sure.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I really think you got to try and get him on the field, maybe a package a half, or at least a package a game. You have to try and get him on the field just to get acquainted. I think he possesses a certain set of tools that it would be really nice to see out there, especially because if you do have a great running game, you can't automatically say that when he comes onto the field, it's going to be him keeping the ball. Like they could play action. He could send it deep to a guy like Roman Wilson, so they do have a lot of pieces. You add even a moderately decent number 2 outside, and I think they're going to be pretty set up to be successful. You have Freiermuth. Freiermuth can catch the ball. We have no doubts Pat can be a great pass catcher. And if Roman, thinks he can play outside, or if it comes back to what I said to him, if they can get him free releases at the line of scrimmage, he can line up in the slot, but motion outside. You know what I mean? Like that stuff is irrelevant. So he said that they had him learning 2 different positions. I think he said the Y and the Z, I'm pretty sure is what he said. So that means they're not opposed to having him learn outside rules.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to know, because if you can get Roman Wilson, who initially Jerry and I thought maybe was a little too short or too small to play outside, he's just shy 6 foot and just shy 200 pounds. He's bigger than Deontay Johnson. So it's not a size thing of why he couldn't play outside. I think he's definitely plenty capable. And if you watch his film at Michigan, the guy can get up and over. He can high point for the ball. Like Roman Wilson, I'm very excited about. Even if he does have to play out of the slot and you don't have another outside receiver, I think they still have plenty of talent that they can still win games.
Yeah, I would also like to see Darnell Washington used a bit more in the red zone this year. I felt like he had, a great blocker, but, a little underwhelming type of rookie year. But I feel like you got to get that guy involved in the red zone at some point this year. He's just too big, too physical.
Agreed.
He can catch the ball. It's not like he has bad hands. You know what I mean?
Yep. And so a lot of what Arthur Smith does is two tight ends. Like you're going to get tight ends. Tight ends are going to get some love this year. And I know, in talking to Pat's excited about it, but you're going to get some big tight end play this year. So I feel like Darnell Washington is in a position to take a step forward. We're going to see what Connor Hayward is in a position to do. Connor is a good pass catching tight end as well. I think he's versatile enough that he could line up in the backfield, but still play it as a tight end set. So they're going to be, it comes back to, did they get better from last year to this year at offensive coordinator? Yes. Offensive line? Yes. Receiver? Maybe not, maybe so. Deontay Johnson is hit or miss on what you get out of him regardless. Roman Wilson, we'll see. He is going to be a rookie, so I don't want to 100% say yes. George Pickens should be better this year going into year 3. Your tight end position is good. Your running game position is good. You've upgraded your quarterback spot. What is the most important position on the field, Jerry?
Yeah, quarterback.
Exactly. And so if Russ can come in, what's interesting? All the people that say Russ is a shitty teammate or he's not a good fucking teammate to have. You ever see this guy tweeting? You heard Roman say he reached out to him early on in the process.
Yeah.
Russ is always hyping it up on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, dude, listen. If there's one guy I would want at quarterback this year, not to say obviously be Patrick Mahomes, but let's, not go for superstars. It's a guy like Russ because – number one, he's got a huge chip on his shoulder. He's got so much to prove, to everybody out there who he didn't even have a bad year last year. Like,
right.
Their offense was terrible, and he had 20-something touchdowns, 6 picks. Like, we don't need Russell Wilson to be great. We need Russell Wilson to be good. And I think if Russell Wilson is good this year, the Steelers have a chance to make a run. I really do.
You get Russ Wilson to give you somewhere between 10th and 15th quarterback play. Now, is he capable of going higher in the right situation where you're run first and he can pick his spots where he goes deep and shit like that? Absolutely. I think Russ could still put up like fringe top 10 type of numbers. But if he doesn't have to, you give him 10 to 15 type numbers, the Steelers are going to really beat some fucking teams this year, barring injuries. And so that's why you can be down on them and say they didn't really upgrade anything as far as the quarterback position is concerned. I disagree substantially. I do too. Jerry, he's won a Super Bowl. There's only a few guys in the league that can say they've won a Super Bowl in today's league, and he is one of them. So you can't take that type of experience away.
People, try to say on Twitter, like, oh, yeah, look at his defense when he won the Super Bowl. Okay, the Steelers have a good defense as well. Like, it's not like we have a shitty defense. Like, the Steelers are known for their defense. Like I said, Russ doesn't have to be great. He doesn't have to put up top 5 numbers. He doesn't have to throw for 35 touchdowns. You give me Russ with 27, 28 touchdowns. I'll give him even 8 or 9, 10 interceptions. I'm good with that. I'm fine with that.
Agreed. I think you give us that type of offense, especially knowing that the running game is going to eat. We say it all the time. If you can get between 25 and 28 points, you have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. I will be shocked if the Steelers don't have the ability to do that now that they've retooled the offensive line, because the defense is going to give them short fields. Okay. Yeah. And you mentioned the punter. The reason I love a good punter, one that can pin you deep, is because when you have a great defense and you can fucking kick the ball and flip the field, the defense can then get you the ball back on a short field as well.
100%.
And so, people overlooking the Steelers, predicting them to take last in the division, Jerry.
Oh,
last
they
in the
always do.
division,
They always do. It never happens.
hasn't happened in your lifetime. Hasn't happened
Nope.
the last time it happened, the year I was born. Like,
80s?
you're talking 35 years ago. Yeah, 1989.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's going to be exciting this season, especially knowing that if Russ does go into training camp, will there be a quarterback battle? I doubt it. But you're going to get to see two legitimate quarterbacks, and we haven't had great quarterback play in quite a few years. So I think that's what excites me the most.
No, for sure. And like, I don't know, man. I'm still kind of, and I don't want to, beat a dead horse here, bring up topics and whatnot, but like, I'm still super surprised that like Kenny would rather go to a different team, like with Jalen Hurts, who's got a $200+ million deal. Like, you're never gonna really have a chance to see the field, bearing an injury. You know what I mean? And like I'll say this: I think if he stayed in Pittsburgh, the Steelers aren't getting Justin Fields. That's for sure.
Agreed.
I don't think they would have went and got Justin Fields.
I
think he had a better shot of, hey, maybe he needed to sit back and learn for a year, learn from Russ a year or two, see what happens. And hey, who's to say, like, Russ is 35 years old at the end of the day. Like, I still think he's going to be pretty damn good for the Steelers, but who's to say, like, Russ just doesn't have it at all anymore, and that was his last year being productive, and he's not going to be good the first 5-6 weeks of the season. Kenny Pickett is right there in line. Okay, give me the ball back. I'm going to show you how you guys should have stuck with me at QB1, and go on from there. But now he's in a situation where, hey, I don't know when he's going to play.
It's crazy. We've had this conversation a lot since it's happened because it just doesn't make sense. If he really was the one that requested the trade, it doesn't make sense, his logic on it. Unless he thought maybe he was getting traded to a team where he had a chance to be the starting quarterback.
Yes, that's what we talked about yesterday. So he thought that, hey, if I want out of here and I request a trade, there's going to be a team out there that'll pick me up, like the Vikings or whatever. I'll be QB1 there.
Right.
And that's just, he went to his favorite team that he rooted for since a kid, but maybe the worst situation he could have possibly had. And, they already have their franchise guy,
Right. That's why it's worst case scenario for Kenny Pickett in his career, honestly. And it is what it is. We don't have to talk about it, not to beat a dead horse, but yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Jared, what are you most optimistic about this year?
This year, I think it's Russ. Dude. And I know I sound like I'm glazing, no Diddy, but like, I really think Russ still has flashes of being able to be special. I really do. He's a proven leader. Listen, he was great in Seattle. Him and Payton just didn't see eye to eye. Like, that wasn't Payton's guy. Right. You know what I mean? And the way they did him so dirty last year was really fucked up. It's not like Russ was going out there and getting picked off twice a game.
Exactly.
He got all the blame for what?
Right.
He threw 26 touchdowns in an anemic offense and threw 8 interceptions, 9, whatever he threw.
And didn't play the last handful of games. He didn't play the last, I want to say 2 games or 3 games. They sat him down.
Yeah, and they did him so dirty.
He beat the fucking Chiefs, Jerry. He went through a run where he beat 3 really good football teams, including the team that went on to win the Super Bowl in Kansas City. So it's not as though this guy's a fucking scrub, man.
No.
He's not a scrub.
That's why, I'm very optimistic about Russ, dude. I think he's poised. Now, would I've loved to see George Pickens, Roman Wilson, Pat Freiermuth, Calvin Austin, and Brandon Ayuk? Yeah, I would have loved it. I really would have. But listen, it's probably not going to happen. It is what it is. If it does happen, great. You know what I mean? But listen, I still think Russ is poised to have a pretty damn good year.
Oh, yeah. I would be kind of shocked if he ultimately lost the starting job to Fields, which leads
I'd be shocked.
Which leads me to then, what are they going to do with the Fields thing? Because if he ultimately tries to leave after this year, All right, you traded a 6th-round pick. You know, it's nothing crazy, but you gave up a 6th-round pick for a guy that hardly even got to play for you. That's why I feel like maybe they offer him, and we talked about this. Maybe you offer him 2 for 14 or 2 for 15.
Well, you got to look at it from his perspective. Why would Justin Fields want to go to his 3rd team?
Right.
What's his value? Like, what's his value then? Like, now you're going to be on a 3rd team next year.
Yeah.
Like you're going to, why don't you just Steelers should offer him 2 years, $15 million, you know, and say, hey, as of now, you're the backup. You're going to have time to compete. If you don't get it, well, you know, we'll see it down the line, see what happens. You know, maybe next year's your year. We'll see. We'll compete again. But why wouldn't he just say, you know what, fuck it. I'm the backup here. I'm going to be a good teammate. I'm going to try to win a starting job. If I don't, I'm the backup. It is what it is. Next year's another year. I know I'm getting paid next year again. So it is what it is. Like, hey, being a backup quarterback at the end of the day isn't the worst thing. But why would he ever want to be on a 3rd team where, hey, he's probably not going to start on another team, you know?
Right.
He has to see what happens with Russ. I think they should offer him a 2-year, $15 million deal, somewhere around there, 2 years, $16 million, whatever it is.
And I think that would be great if we could somehow work that out. By the same token, though, if Russ comes out and fucking balls this year, they're signing Russ. Like, they're extending Russ. No doubt about it. I would be absolutely shocked if he comes out, has a great year, we make a run in the playoffs, and then they let him walk. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, that won't happen. The Steelers will end up having to pay him.
Yeah. And so it's a good problem. Jerry, that's a good problem. That means through TJ's career, for the most part, you have a good enough quarterback to at least make some fucking runs at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I expect him to make a run this year. You know, I know we're biased. We're Steelers fans, but I do, man. I mean, the Bills got weaker. The Bengals, who knows what's going to happen with T. Higgins? They lost some significant pieces on the defense. You see guys won out left and right.
They have no D-line. Their D-line
they can't afford these guys that they once could have afforded because they had to pay Chase and Burrow has to get paid. And, T. Higgins wanted paid. He probably can't get paid. So who knows? But, hey, Bengals are getting weaker. The Steelers don't have a problem. Like, the Ravens is not the Steelers' kryptonite. Like, that's not what it is. The Steelers' kryptonite has always been the last couple of years is the Chiefs and the Bills.
Yep.
That's their kryptonite right there. Like, and I don't think the Browns had a great draft. I think they were ranked pretty low. I think they were bottom 5 draft.
There's still question marks that they have, they didn't have a 1st-round pick, and so there's still question marks you have around Deshaun Watson. I don't give a fuck how well they finished last year. That guy still hasn't proven he's very good, and it's been now coming into his 3rd year with them. So come on, man.
No, I don't. I'm obviously we're more biased than most people, but I don't think he's good.
I mean, you would have thought he would have been good by now.
Yes. I thought in Houston, he's shown flashes of being really good. And I think he had a really, really good year one of the years. But since he's been in Cleveland, he doesn't scare me at all.
No,
at all.
Irrelevant. I'm not, the Browns don't scare me. That's not a football team that scares me. The Ravens are not a football team that scares me. Are they bad teams? By no means. No. But they're not teams that really scare me. No. The Bengals, like you said, are going to have a comeback. They're going to have a downer year. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to suck, but they just don't have the pieces like they've had in years past when they still came up short. And so you're right. It's teams like the Bills. It's teams like the Chiefs. And so the Steelers are trying to build a team that can contend with those types of high-scoring offenses.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And
the
Texans will be a problem this year.
Texans are a problem. Texans are a fucking problem. They're going to be a problem for the next 10 years. They got a dog in C.J. Stroud. They're going to be an issue. And so that's why, in the ideal world for the Steelers, they go halfway through the season. Russ is playing kind of good. Maybe he gets dinged. Fields comes in. He's a superstar for us. You thank Russ for his services. You also then have your guy for the next 8 to 10 years in Justin Fields.
Exactly. The Steelers, they can't, in a weird way, they can't really lose in this situation.
Agreed.
Even if Russ comes out, plays like shit, dog shit, we're fucking 2-5, Fields takes over. Well, Fields is dog shit. He just lost 3 games in a row. Okay, well, guess what? Now you got a high 1st-round pick, which you didn't have to give up for Ayuk or somebody else.
Yep.
You go draft a quarterback next year and you start over again. Like, and you didn't waste any money, you
Agreed.
know, on quarterback, you know. So it is what it is. You know, I don't think that's going to happen. That is worst case scenario, but yeah, I don't really see that happening.
Jerry, they're in a good spot. Like, we'll have to wrap this up because I'm on 2% on this fucking iPad, but they're in a good spot simply because finally they've rebuilt the offensive line. So even if this year Russ and Fields both struggle, they're still positioned to be a good team moving forward because you can then bring a rookie in, and at least the rookie isn't going to have to be running for his life. You can lean on your run game. You can ease him in like the Steelers did with Big Ben and not like they did with Kenny Pickett. Not to make excuses for Kenny, but they brought him into kind of a shitty situation as far as the line was concerned. And so it's hard to do that to a rookie. They're not going to have to do that moving forward. They have a solidified line. We haven't even talked about Mason McCormick, but that's another guard that they took. A bad fucking boy from North Dakota. I mean, a bad man who can play guard now.
He might start.
He's a freak, Jerry. This guy's he's nasty. He's a road grader, a mauler. You get to bring that guy in now, and if James Daniels gets dinged, he's plugged in. If Isaac Samalo gets dinged, he's plugged in. They're in a good fucking spot, Jerry. I mean, they're in a good spot. It's early May, and you know we haven't seen anything as far as training camp or that is concerned, but hard to not think they're going to be better than last year, and they made the playoffs last year.
Exactly.
Well, hey, we appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed the Roman interview. Shout out to the boys at Zed's, Jerry. Always the best, the dopest vintage gear in the game. Zed's in Southside. Make sure you guys stop down there and see him. Let them know the Steel Here podcast sent you. We might do another episode here if we end up getting another interview in the next week or so, or schedule release. That's something we're going to talk about. Figuring out the games Jerry will actually be in town for next year. So those are all things we're going to look into, but we appreciate the shit out of you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, share the show where you see it, where you find it. We appreciate the shit out of you. We'll see you guys here again next week.
See you next week.
We're here. We're still here.
We are still here.